All right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are this morning. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing well. I think after today, after this announcement, I think Disney and the MCU are doing just a little bit better this morning. Doing a little bit better this morning. I think MCU fans are doing a little bit better this morning. So let's jump into it. Let's jump into the conversation, and that is that the MCU has changed. The MCU is on a new trajectory. So, major news coming out of Comic-Con that honestly, again, I think it has the potential to shake up the entire trajectory of where the Marvel Cinematic Universe is going. In fact, it will change drastically the course of the MCU. It is official at this point that Kang the Conqueror, who of course is played by Jonathan Majors, Kang the Conqueror is out as the big bad of the multiverse saga. And I've been saying on streams that this would happen for a couple of reasons. Yes, there is the whole Jonathan Majors controversy, but even before all of that, let's just be real. Let's keep it 100. Kang was never a Thanos. For whatever reason, Kang just never stuck with the audiences in the same way that Thanos did. And I'll be real. When Kang was announced as the new big bad, I had my doubts. Because, yes, Kang, depending on how you write him, could fill that role, but I figured it would be really tricky to portray Kang on that level. Because even in the comics, he never had that kind of gravitas. Now, given, I thought casting Jonathan Majors as Kang was a step in the right direction to give Kang that gravitas, and I think Majors did do well in his portrayal of the character. But the writing surrounding Kang in the MCU, it just didn't work. It just didn't work. For whatever reason, it just did not work. Kang he didn't feel intimidating, and his motivation remained muddy and unclear. And unlike with Thanos, to where he had that cosmic tyrant vibe about him, kind of like Frieza from Dragon Ball Z in a sense, and you knew his goal was to get the Infinity Gems. It was simple writing, but effective, and that's why Thanos worked. Kang's writing was far too muddled, and I think at some point, probably after Quantumania didn't hit like Disney had hoped it would, they were already trying to figure out a way to move past Kang, and the Jonathan Majors controversy was the reason they needed to finally cut their losses and do just that. Now, is it unfair to Jonathan Majors? Yeah, I think so, because the more that has come out about that whole situation, about that whole case, the more that it looks like it could have been a case of self-defense. But Disney needed an excuse to move on from Kang, and this was it. So on a moral level, this all seems kind of dirty to me, but I think Disney was on course to move past Kang anyways, because Kang just hadn't been the success that they were hoping for. The Majors controversy, in my opinion, just sped up that process. Now, something that I've been saying for months is that in hindsight, if Marvel and Disney were going to go down the multiverse route, they should have gone with the idea of making Doctor Doom the new big bad, in my opinion. And with Doctor Doom as the big bad of the multiverse saga, they could have set up an adaptation of the Battle World storyline from the comics. Now, who knows if they will actually go the Battle World route, but we know now that they are going to be replacing Kang with Doctor Doom regardless, even if they don't go the route of doing Battle World. He is going to be the new big bad. And it makes a lot of sense. First of all, again, if they want to go with the Battle World plotline, I don't know if they will or not, but if they do, they can now do that with Doctor Doom. And more importantly, Doctor Doom is just a way more recognizable villain from the comics. And he has the type of gravitas that could rival Thanos. Doctor Doom has a built-in recognition with the mainstream audiences that will make him much easier to accept as the big bad compared to Kang, who, let's be honest, to the mainstream audience was a relative unknown. And just being real, Doctor Doom is a better written character in the comics than Kang ever was. He's a more interesting character. Doom is hands down one of the top 10 villains of comic books. He's up there with the likes of Magneto, Joker, the Greats. This is the type of villain that you can adapt into the big bad of your ongoing multi-film, multi-phase saga. And again, in my opinion, I think they should have just gone with Doctor Doom as the big bad from the get-go when they started the multiverse saga. But hey, man, better late than never. In my opinion, this is a great course correct for the MCU. So, Doctor Doom replacing Kang as the new big bad, I'll be honest with you, was not surprising at all to me. I've been saying that for a while that it's going to happen. Avengers, the Kang Dynasty being reworked and renamed as Avengers Doomsday, not a surprise at all. But what was a surprise, what I did not see coming, is that the big announcement, and again, Kang being out, Doom being in, Avengers Kang Dynasty being renamed Doomsday, all that's major news. But the biggest surprise of all, ladies and gentlemen, was of course the reveal that Robert Downey Jr. would be returning to the MCU as Victor Von Doom. Robert Downey Jr. coming back in some shape or form, maybe as a Tony Stark variant. Yeah, I expected that at some point. I think we all expected him to return at some point in some way, even if it was just a cameo. But bringing him back to play a different character entirely, and that character being Victor Von Doom, being your new big bad, now that was jaw-dropping. I would have never predicted that. I did not see that coming. Now, to be fair, some people online are calling this a desperate move, that this is a bad sign for Marvel. And you know what? Maybe there is some truth to that. Maybe there is some truth that this is a desperate move. This act, this decision came from desperation because the MCU has been flopping for quite some time now. It's just a lot of people have become apathetic to it. But at the same time, even if it does come from a place of desperation, it may be what saves the MCU. Robert Downey Jr. coming back has brought a whole new level of hype and excitement surrounding the discourse of the MCU that I haven't seen in years. I mean, for the vast majority of Phase 4, the excitement levels for the MCU was draining fast. All of a sudden, with this announcement, our batteries are fully charged again. So it may very well be a desperate move, but it's a desperate move that may work out amazingly for Marvel and Disney in the end. That being said, with Robert Downey Jr. returning to the MCU as Doctor Doom, this move also brings a lot of questions that need to be answered. They need to be answered. First of all, is this Doctor Doom actually Victor Von Doom as we know the character from the comic books? Or is this some variant of Tony Stark in another universe who has adopted the name of Victor Von Doom? Essentially, is this just Robert Downey Jr. playing a new character in Victor Von Doom, or is it him playing an evil Tony Stark that becomes Doctor Doom? It has been said by Disney and Marvel that no, Robert Downey Jr. is playing Victor Von Doom. However, notice the wording there. They never denied that this could be a variant of Tony Stark. If they wanted to, they could change it up from the comics and say that Tony in another universe has some Laverian heritage, and maybe in this universe he embraced it and he used his tech and combined it with sorcery. Maybe he has a good relationship with Doctor Strange in this universe, and in the end he ended up becoming Doctor Doom. Maybe in embracing his heritage he changed his name to Victor Von Doom. I don't know. They could go that route. Now, I don't think that they will. I think it's much more likely that Victor Von Doom is his own original character and not a Tony Stark variant, but that possibility is not completely off the table yet. Now, the other question that is brought up is that if this Doctor Doom is his own character and not a Tony Stark variant, how do you explain that to the mainstream audiences? Because to the mainstream, Robert Downey Jr. is Tony Stark, is Iron Man. So when they see him in a Marvel movie, they are going to automatically associate him with Iron Man. How do you get people on a subconscious level to separate this new Doctor Doom from Iron Man when you have the same actor in the same continuity playing both? That's going to be a difficult challenge for them to overcome, but considering that they are also bringing back the Russo brothers, That was the other major news coming out of Comic-Con. Considering they are bringing back the Russo brothers, I do have more confidence now in the writing of the MCU going forward, and I think they have the talent and the capability of overcoming that particular challenge. But what I think is important to note about all of this is now people are actually interested in the MCU once again. People are talking about it, for the most part, in a positive light. They are actually anticipating and looking forward to what comes next. Where before this, people were honestly becoming apathetic about Marvel. This is a fresh injection of new life in the franchise, and that's honestly something they desperately needed. We'll see if they can pull this off, and if they do, it will be a stroke of genius and one of the most impressive comebacks for a franchise. That being said, it will cost them. I have heard estimates that off of the next 2 Avenger movies alone, Robert Downey Jr. could make $200 million, and the Russos $80 million. So it's going to cost Marvel and Disney a pretty penny. But if this newfound hype continues, they could make bank. I mean, they could make an ungodly amount of money. People coming in to see the return of Robert Downey Jr., that can make a shit ton of money. So it's a risky move in a lot of ways, to be sure, but it may very well pay off in the end. Now, I just kind of wish they would have gone this route to begin with, though, at the very start of the multiverse saga. I wish that Doctor Doom had always been set up as the new big bad, because it makes so much more sense for a plethora of reasons. And that's not to say that you never use Kang, but Kang the Conqueror, in my opinion, should have been a villain for a single Avengers movie, not the entire multiverse saga. Like, imagine if Phase 4 had ended with a movie with a new team of Avengers led by, say, Spider-Man, because the MCU Spider-Man is basically, Iron Boy, Tony Stark's successor. Let's say you had a movie at the end of Phase 4 with a new team of Avengers led by Spider-Man, and Kang shows up with his Council of Kangs to conquer the MCU, because he says that he has foreseen that this particular universe, the MCU universe, will mess around with the multiverse, and these actions will cause devastation and chaos across all the universes. So he has arrived to nip the threat in the bud, and he attempts to invade and conquer the MCU, and the new Avengers are forced to repel his invasion. And that would set up a whole plethora of events throughout Phase 5 and 6 involving the multiverse. Like, maybe the Fantastic Four get their powers from a multiverse experiment instead of cosmic rays. And this is what causes Victor Von Doom to become Doctor Doom, thus creating the true ultimate villain of this saga. You could have Avengers versus X-Men, with the X-Men coming from a different universe. And by the time you get to Battle World, you have Spider-Man or whoever is leading the Avengers realize, oh shit, Kang was right. Our involvement with the multiverse led to a whole series of conflict and chaos, and it would be, as George Lucas says, like poetry, it rhymes. So if they had gone that route, it would have given Kang significance without him being the ultimate big bad of the saga, which I think the character was ill-suited for in the first place. Anyways, that's a woulda, shoulda, coulda. Now that we have Doctor Doom as the big bad, played by Robert Downey Jr., we need to look to the future. And maybe this is the move. Maybe this is the move that is going to allow Disney and Marvel to start selling this ship back in the right direction. But yeah, it's an interesting time to be a Marvel fan, to be an MCU fan, and it's going to be interesting to see where this goes. I'm not going to lie, I'm excited, I'm hyped, but I would say right now I'm cautiously optimistic. Anyways, that being said, let me know your thoughts on this breaking news down in the comments below. If you can support the channel financially, that would be very much appreciated. I do have a Cash App, a PayPal, a Venmo, and a Patreon, and channel memberships are coming soon. All of that information is at the bottom of your screen, and it's also in the description box down below. However, if you can't do that, you can still support the channel by liking, subscribing, clicking the bell for notifications, and sharing the content to others. I plan to see the Deadpool and Wolverine movie this weekend, so subscribe to see my review and thoughts on that. And with that being said, this is JeskerJames with a Z, and I'll check you guys later.